I can't hear you. There's too much money in my fucking hand.
Do you remember the first time you tried hard drugs?
And the oxys and the Percocet.
Johnny Manziel is one of the most extreme stories the NFL has ever seen. In just a few years, he went from being a college football god to a complete cautionary tale. Money, fame, parties, bad decisions, and a career that burned out almost as fast as it exploded. At one point, Johnny Manziel was richer, more famous, and more talked about than many veteran NFL stars. Endorsement deals, millions guaranteed, and a lifestyle that most players only dream about. But while the money was coming in fast, it was going out even faster. This is not just the story of a failed quarterback. This is the story of how Johnny Manziel made his money, how he spent it, and how everything spiraled out of control. Before Johnny Manziel ever touched an NFL field, his story was already bigger than most professional careers. He arrived at Texas A&M as a talented but overlooked quarterback, with doubts around his size, his style, and whether his game would even work at the highest level of college football. But from the very beginning, it was clear he was different. Week after week, Johnny Manziel delivered moments that felt unreal, scrambling out of pressure, extending plays that should have been dead, throwing impossible passes, and playing with a confidence that looked more like arrogance to some. But to fans, it was electricity. Stadiums filled up just to watch him. Cameras followed him everywhere. Social media exploded every time he touched the ball. Then came the Heisman Trophy. At just 20 years old, Johnny Manziel became the first freshman in history to win it. Overnight, he wasn't just a college star, he was a national icon. The nickname Johnny Football became a brand.
Johnny Football, Johnny Football, Johnny Football.
But while the spotlight grew, so did the lifestyle. Even with NCAA rules limiting his official earnings, Johnny was already living far beyond a normal college athlete. Exclusive parties, expensive trips, celebrity circles, and nonstop attention became part of his everyday life. Rumors began to swirl about autograph sessions, cash payments, and benefits that went far beyond what was allowed at the time. The problem wasn't the talent. The problem was that success came too fast. Too early. Johnny didn't have time to mature, to build discipline, or to understand the value of what was coming. The fame arrived before the structure. The money energy arrived before the responsibility. By the time he was still in college, Johnny Manziel wasn't just preparing for the NFL. He was already living like an NFL superstar. At the time, NCAA rules strictly limited what college athletes could earn. But Johnny was constantly surrounded by boosters, agents, celebrities, and wealthy fans. Autograph signings, paid appearances, and under-the-table benefits became part of the conversation. While nothing was ever fully proven, the rumors were everywhere, and Johnny never lived like a typical college quarterback. Instead of learning how to manage money slowly, Johnny was thrown into an environment where cash felt unlimited and consequences felt distant.
Well, here it comes. Gotta be right here, Mark. Here we go.
The Philadelphia Eagles have traded the 22nd pick to the Cleveland Browns. With the 22nd pick in the 2014 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select Johnny Manziel, quarterback, Texas A&M.
real money for the first time. Johnny signed a rookie contract worth around $8.2 million, with over $4 million guaranteed. Overnight, the lifestyle he had been borrowing suddenly became fully funded. But instead of slowing things down, the money accelerated everything. Johnny didn't arrive in Cleveland focused on building a routine or earning respect. He arrived as a celebrity quarterback in a struggling franchise, with expectations he was never properly prepared to handle. The Browns needed a savior. Johnny wanted freedom. And from the very beginning, those two goals were never aligned. While the team looked for discipline and leadership, Johnny leaned into the image that had made him famous: confidence, chaos, and constant attention. Once Johnny Manziel started earning real NFL money, control disappeared. With millions guaranteed, there was no urgency to change his habits or slow down. Spending became careless and constant, with no structure and no long-term planning. Instead of building a routine around football, Johnny built his life around attention and freedom. Preparation took a back seat. The focus shifted. Inside the Browns organization, concerns grew quickly. Coaches questioned his commitment, and teammates began to lose trust. What looked like confidence from the outside was actually a lack of discipline. And while the money was still coming in, the damage was already being done, not just financially, but professionally. This was the moment where Johnny Manziel stopped developing as a quarterback and started slipping as an NFL player. When he entered the NFL, Johnny wasn't just a rookie quarterback. He was one of the most famous young athletes in America. Brands were watching closely. Endorsement deals, long-term partnerships, and off-field money were all on the table. If things went even moderately well, Johnny could have earned tens of millions outside of football alone. But none of that ever happened. Teams can tolerate mistakes. Brands can't. Every controversy, every missed responsibility, every negative headline made Johnny a risk. Quietly, sponsors walked away. Deals were never signed. Opportunities disappeared before the public even knew they existed. This wasn't about losing contracts he already had. This was about losing a future. While other young quarterbacks were building empires off the field, Johnny was burning trust. And in the business world, once trust is gone, the money follows. By the time his NFL career started slipping, his endorsement career was already dead.
There is no future for Johnny Manziel with the Cleveland Browns.
With Johnny Football, he's now looking for another team this morning.
The Cleveland Browns cutting ties with Johnny Manziel.
It's official. The Cleveland Browns bidding him farewell after just 2 seasons.
Once the structure was gone off the field, it didn't take long for the damage to show on it. Johnny Manziel struggled to earn the trust of coaches and teammates. Preparation issues, inconsistent performances, and constant distractions made it impossible for him to develop as a quarterback. His playing time became unstable. Benched, brought back, benched again. Each opportunity felt smaller than the last. The Browns weren't building around him. They were trying to survive the situation. Mistakes piled up. Confidence faded, and the player who once thrived on chaos now looked lost inside it. By the end of his time in Cleveland, the decision was clear. Johnny Manziel wasn't the future of the franchise. In just 2 seasons, his NFL career was effectively over.
Remember the first time you tried hard drugs?
Oh, yeah. So, you get around people who you think you look up to or this or that, and then it just goes. And then it kind of goes and it snowballs and it keeps getting worse. And you go from cocaine to Oxycontin to Percocets to I look at the mushrooms as a different thing now. That's not a good thing to say, but like the harder drugs, the drugs that like tear you down. I never did anything with needles. Never did anything like that. But the Coke and the Oxys and the Percocet were very, very tumultuous in my life and like popped their head, especially the days of wandering around the Hollywood Hills.
Once Johnny Manziel was out of the NFL, everything changed. The checks stopped. The structure disappeared. And the problems he had been avoiding finally caught up to him. Without a team, without a routine, and without the protection of the league, Johnny has admitted that his struggles with alcohol and drugs got worse. What had been hidden during his playing days became impossible to control. The lifestyle didn't slow down, but the income did. Money that once felt unlimited now had limits. Legal issues, personal problems, and reckless spending drained what he had earned. Johnny later admitted that he burned through millions of dollars during this period. Not on investments or businesses, but on survival and self-destruction. This was the lowest point. Not just financially, but mentally. At one point, Johnny has said he didn't care if his life ended. The fame was gone. The money was shrinking. And the future looked empty. This wasn't the fall of a quarterback anymore. This was the collapse of a life built too fast and without control. After leaving the NFL, Johnny Manziel tried to use football as a way back, not just to relevance, but to income. But the numbers tell a very different story from his early career. In the NFL, Johnny earned roughly $4.3 million, guaranteed, from his rookie contract with the Browns. That money was already spent or tied up by the time his career collapsed. From that point on, every comeback attempt came with dramatically smaller paychecks. In the Canadian Football League, Manziel signed with the Hamilton Tiger Cats and later the Montreal Alouettes. His CFL contracts were estimated at around $400,000 to $500,000 total, and reports suggest he didn't even receive the full amount due to early release and limited playing time. In the Alliance of American Football, his salary was even smaller, approximately $70,000 for the season, before the league itself collapsed and stopped paying players altogether. Later, in leagues like fan-controlled football, the money dropped again. These contracts are estimated in the low five figures, sometimes under $20,000 per season, with no guarantees and no long-term stability. In total, after leaving the NFL, Johnny Manziel likely earned less than $600,000 combined from all professional football attempts, a shocking contrast to the millions he once had. What once felt like a safety net became a scramble. The comebacks weren't about building wealth anymore. They were about extending a career that could no longer support the life he once lived. Johnny Manziel's millions came fast and disappeared even faster. Constant off-field issues, the money stopped almost overnight. Legal costs, lifestyle spending, failed comeback attempts, and years without stable income drained his finances. By the time football was truly over, Manziel wasn't broke, but the fortune he once had and the tens of millions he could have earned were gone for good. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Drop a comment below and tell us which player's financial story you want to see next.
Gordon is returning to the NFL.
Yes.
Should the Browns welcome him back?
Absolutely, they should.
Your dad still mad about the party?
He's been a Pro Bowl.
Really? Hey, are you ever going to play again?
Absolutely, brother. Have a great night.
What team do you want to play for?
With all
the Cowboys?
Johnny?
All right, man. Have a good one.